What's up YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Today I have the brake job from hell. Now what I mean by that is it wasn't specifically difficult to take apart, however there was a lot of different parts, super time consuming, just to break everything down. In this video I'll be replacing not only the brake pads and brake rotors, but also the axle flange and a bunch of little tiny parts that contribute to the clunking noise when you shift from reverse, neutral to drive. Since it took so long to complete, I'm going to break this job into 3 separate videos. This video is going to be video number 1. Now what that's going to include is the complete disassembly of the front brake components. You're going to see me take off the caliper, the hub, and the rotor. For part 2, I've got removing and replacing both inner and outer wheel bearings. For part 3, I'm going to show you how I removed and replaced the front brake pads. As usual, all the tools and parts will be listed in the description down below, so make sure you go check that out. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. Now, let's get to it. Parts, parts, and more parts everywhere. Okay, so this is your wheel hub. In order to take off the brake rotor, you need to take the whole hub off. As you can see, the bolts are actually coming from behind into this hub. So what you need to take off is this, obviously the brake caliper, the dust cap, and then all these 6 little nuts right here, and I'll show you how to do that. So what you want to do is take off the whole brake caliper with the pads and everything in there. I mean, we're going to be changing the pads anyways, and they look okay, but you know, it's time to change it since we're doing all this stuff. But to get to that, you want to take out this 17 mil right here and the one on top right here. So when you take off the brake caliper, it's pretty heavy and you don't want it to just dangle off of the brake line here because it might cause a leak. So what you want to do is have it out somewhere safe, because you're going to be removing all this. I would probably zip tie it to the control arm where it won't move. Okay, so you can see right here I just zip tied the caliper to the sway bar, which is nice and solid, and there's no tension on the brake line itself. You don't want any tension on this guy. Next, you got to take off this dust cap. What you can use is either a chisel with a hammer, or you can use a screwdriver. It's fine either way. Just tap it lightly and it should come out. Work your way around it. There we go. Alright, so next you gotta take off this snap ring that holds onto the axle. You want to use some snap ring pliers and kind of get them off. I don't have the correct tips for this one, but with a screwdriver it might work. Move the camera back a little bit. Snap ring. Okay, so next you want to take off these 6 nuts. These guys are 14 millimeters. So once you've taken out these nuts, they're loose, leave them on there a little bit, just like that, because what you'll have to take off next is this, there's a washer behind here and there's a cone that holds on the axle flange. Now that cone is usually pretty stuck in there. What you'll need is one of these guys. This is a brass punch. They come in a little pack with all these I got it off of Amazon. I'll have a link in the description down below. But what you want to do is have it right here and hit it with a hammer so that that cone comes out. Now why use brass is because you don't want to damage the stud right here. If you use an actual punch, like a steel one, or metal, different metal, a stronger, stiffer one, it might damage the stud where you can't get the nut back on. So let's try this out. Okay, so this one I actually had to cheat a little bit and use a little bit of PB blaster. I don't know if it actually helped, but there's your cone. They all have this little crack in it. That's how they wedge themselves in. So once you take off all 6 of these guys, you can remove the hub flange. Gotta get it over that lip where the snap ring was. Sometimes there's like ends or whatever in there. Well, you know, it's not perfect, so it just takes a little bit to get it over. There it goes. Ta-da! This is the gasket that you'll need to replace too. As you see, mine is really torn and bad already. So next you gotta take out this axle nut. There's actually 2 of them in there, and in between that there's a washer. You can see right there, that tip right there is bent forward to stop the nut from ever loosening off, because these aren't really that tight. So what you'll need is a little screwdriver and pry it back straight. So you get it out of the way, then you can put the socket on there. There we go. It's pulled back. Now we can put the socket on here. This guy's a 56 or a 52. I'm not sure which one it was. I'll make sure to link it in the description down below. But these aren't too tight, so they should just come off. So once you get this big little nut off, then you've got the other little star-shaped washer, the little lock washer, I guess is what they call it. Come out. There we go. Take off the final nut. There we go. Okay, after you take off the 2 axle nuts, the little locking nuts, the hub is basically ready to come out. So if you pull on this thing, the bearings will come out first. This guy. And this we actually will be replacing too. Like, it's still good, but it's probably been in here for 190,000 miles, so it's time to change this guy. There's also a bearing in the back of the hub, and I'll show you how to get that out. There's actually a little trick. Okay, so you can see the nuts for the rotors are right there. We can take them off and hammer it out. That's pretty much it. But the bearing is in here, along with the bearing seal. Now, to get that out, we're gonna have to put it back on the axle. Make sure it's kinda in. And then, one of these little axle nuts, you just want to screw it back in a little bit. Get like a few good threads on there so it won't strip the axle. And what you want to do is, in one good motion, ta-da! There's the bearing and the seal, all out. So now you're gonna take out these bolts right here. They're 17 mil, so that way you can remove the hub
from the rotor itself. Okay, now all the bolts are out. The tricky part is going to be separating the hub from the actual rotor, because they're usually pretty stuck. This one's actually not bad. I might be able to get it off pretty easy. We'll see. Oh, ta-da! That's how you do it. Easy. California car. So since we're getting brand new bearings, you want to clean up all the grease in here. It's old grease. We'll re-grease it with new grease and repack the new bearings too. So gross.
And that concludes the first part of my 3-part video. For this video that you just watched only covers disassembly. For part 2 and part 3, you're going to see me put together the wheel bearings, the rotors, everything back onto the car. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you go ahead and hit that like button. And for more Land Cruiser content, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.